Hey, this is Jonathan. The question is, how did you decide on the name for your business? At the time when I was trying to pick the name, I was working heavily in technology and had been doing a lot of computer consulting. And so in the computer world, one of the things we thought about a lot was it had to be a memorable name that was short so that somebody could type it in quickly on the computer. And quickly is actually the wrong choice of words, so that they could easily remember it and type it in. If it was real long or too many words, it'd become confusing, and so it needed to be short. So it was extremely hard for me to find a name because I wanted one word that was short, and our name is 8 letters long, and so I achieved that. The other thing is it had to be a .com. So those were the things that I actually took into account originally. It had to be short, one word, and a .com. I also so basically I just did a lot of searching. So I'd come up with a couple words, and then I would put them into Microsoft Word, and I'd use the thesaurus, and I'd look for synonyms, just looking at other names, brainstorming, just trying a whole bunch of different stuff. I looked around trying to find this name. Finally, I came up with a name that was 8 letters long. And then on top of that, every time I did come up with a name, I would go to GoDaddy, or I don't recall who it was back then, but it was probably somebody like GoDaddy, and I would look and see if I could get the .com. So I wouldn't register any domain name that I couldn't get the .com on. That was my criteria. And of course, it had to be short. The other thing, once I finally arrived on some names, I would, of course, make sure they're .coms and available, but I'd also make sure that when I type those names into Google, that they wouldn't come back with anything that could be offensive or confusing, or another company, make sure a company before me didn't have that name where there was legal action against them. I wanted to make sure there wasn't anything where my name could be confused with somebody else's long term and it could become a problem. I also looked in uspto.gov, so it's uspto.gov, which is the trademark directory for the US, and I made sure that I could get the trademark on the name. And so those are the things, there's more I took into account, but those are the big things that I thought about. Can I get the .com? Is it short? Can I get the trademark on it? Is there ever been any legal action against anybody with a name like this before? Can I register? In my case, I wanted to register my name as my LLC as well. So I wanted to make sure I could get the LLC for it. You can potentially register a different company name as the LLC and then file a DBA, or a doing business as a different name. So all of those things I took into account. I wanted a name that kind of said what we were doing, but with 8 characters, it's nearly impossible. So for the most part, it was just a creative name. It didn't say lawn care and landscape. I couldn't fit all that into it. Now, with all that being said, there's a whole lot of differing opinions on how you should pick names. This is just how I think about it. My most recent company is a 2-word name, and it's longer and it's harder to remember, but it's more descriptive as to what we do, or at least once you know what we're doing, it makes more sense. And so it doesn't have to be a short name. They're becoming incredibly hard to find and also get a .com for them. Here was where I was going with this. There's real value in having a name on the internet that represents what you do. So what I mean by that is, if you are in the lawn care business, and most people that search for a lawn care company, they type in lawn care and their city. Well, if you have the word lawn care in your .com, so your business name is, joeslawncare.com, well, that's a real advantage in terms of having an advantage over other companies in terms of getting your name listed or to show up in the search engines when people type in lawn care in whatever city they're in, because you use the words lawn care in your domain name. So there is an advantage to having a name that you have the same .com for, that has the words lawn care or landscape or whatever service you provide in the name. Uh, if I could do it all over again, I'd still choose the name I have, because from a marketing standpoint, I like the short name. It's the best way to go. But here's another idea for you. If you come up with a name that doesn't work well on the internet, but it works really good from a marketing standpoint, you can always register that name, and then you can have your website using a different name, such as Joe's Lawn Care, but your core marketing domain name could be bestlawnserviceintown.com. And bestlawnserviceintown.com, every time somebody types it in, it forwards to joeslawncare.com. And the benefit there is that you've got a really strong, maybe the marketing name's your business name, it's a really strong name for marketing. It's memorable, but your other name, the Joe's Lawn Care, it works really well in terms of getting high rankings in the search engines because the .com incorporates the lawn care, the words lawn care. Hopefully I didn't get too confusing on that, but it with search, and because the web is so important in getting your business found, it is a consideration to have a business name that is a little more descriptive in terms of what you do, so that when you register the .com, the search engines it helps the search engines understand what you do so that you can get found. So that's one advantage. But I still prefer the shorter names that are memorable. I don't like names that are have weird spellings. So if somebody hears them, they don't know how to spell them. My company name is actually just that. I knew it going in. The way we spell part of the name isn't the way you'd normally spell it. And so I registered both the normal name, and the name of our company is City Turf. So I have CITI Turf, and then I also, and that's the name. Our official spelling is CITITURF. Well, in addition to that, I registered CITYTURF.com because we were concerned that too many people might hear City Turf and type in the name with the Y and not the I, and they would never find us. So if you use a weird spelling for a name, then you really should consider getting both the what people would expect, the way they expect to spell it, and the weird spelling that you're using for your company name. So short, get the .com, make sure there's nothing negative about that name, nothing ever legal action against the name like that. Make sure you can get the trademark, make sure it's memorable, make sure there's nothing controversial about it. Make sure it's a name that doesn't limit you in 10 years if you want to be a different kind of business or offer additional services. Make sure it's not too limiting where people won't associate you with that other service. Things of that sort. Those are things to consider. And those are the very things I considered.